I was working in a steel mill in Pennsylvania, Jones and Lockton Steel Corporation. I was serving my apprenticeship there as a machinist. And one of the fellows came in, he said, "Hey guys, I'm going to Hawaii." I said, "Where's that?" I'm 20 years old. He said, "Well, it's out in the Pacific." I said, how'd you go about trying to get to Hawaii? He said, "I saw this posting at the post office. They're looking for defense workers at Pearl Harbor Navy Yard." So I said, "Who do you write to?" He said, "Write to the commander of the 14th Naval District, Pearl Harbor." So I did. Well, lo and behold, I get this letter saying that I have a job at Pearl Harbor Navy Yard. They sent me tickets from my hometown on the train to Pittsburgh. I lived in a little town called West Aliquippa. From Pittsburgh, I got on another train to go to Washington, D.C. And my girlfriend at the time, Ann Smithko, she was a legal secretary in Washington, D.C. And we went ice skating and roller skating. I guess it was roller skating. Anyway, I said, "Well, Ann, I got to go. I've got to catch a ship called the USS Wharton in Norfolk, Virginia." So I got on a bus and went to Norfolk, Virginia, and got on this ship called the USS Wharton. And the first trip was to Cuba. We had to drop off some Marines to go to Guantanamo Bay. That's where the famous controversial prison is. Anyway, we dropped off the Marines, and the ship proceeded down through the Panama Canal, got down to Panama, Balboa. We spent a few days down there, and we went through Panama and got to Cristobal, and the ship went on to San Pedro, California. We were there about 3 days. And then we went to San Diego, the big base, naval base there. We was there for another 3 days. And then we went on to San Francisco, and the ship stopped there for 5 days. Next thing you know, 5 days later, I'm in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor Navy Yard. My God. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers. So I'm going to work here, work at Pearl Harbor. And what happened, you know, a year later, Pearl Harbor Day, and I just finished an afternoon shift from 3:30 till midnight, and I was home sleeping. In the morning, my roommate woke me up and said, "We're being bombed by Japan." I said, I can't believe it. Put the radio on, sure enough. All Pearl Harbor workers come to Pearl Harbor immediately. So we got on the highway. In those days, it was just a 2-lane highway, and there were military vehicles, there were ambulances, sirens were in the air, and of course the planes were still in the air. The December the 7th attack had taken place. When I arrived at Pearl Harbor, the battleships, California, the Utah, the Arizona, I didn't know what they were at the time. But anyway, I spent the whole day at the shops, and the next night they asked for volunteers to go to Pearl Harbor, and I went over on go to Naval Air Station Fort Lyon. I went over on a motor launch, and I don't know what time it was, about 7 o'clock, and they said, "All hands under cover, prepare for attack." I said, "My God, I'm on a California battleship." And he said, "Prepare for attack." What am I doing here? Anyway, I went under the 16-inch guns with a friend of mine, Marty Peduzzi, and it turned out that one of our carriers was off the islands, and they came over to investigate, and I heard that they had shot down some of our American planes. But anyway, then it was martial law, and everybody knows the story. Remember Pearl Harbor, and then I went to work for a Dole Pineapple Company.